I wasn't prepared for this at all.
This episode of Comically Gaming is brought to you by Blockhead Printing. For all your custom nerdy shirt printing, cons, parties, or gaming clubs, this is a full-service, badass screen printing company. Check out blockheadprinting.com. Welcome, everybody. Comically Gaming episode 66. I got to say, speaking of Blockhead Printing, this week I am in South Dakota right now, at a scooter rally, at a campground, and then going to catch the eclipse on the way home, dead center in Casper, Wyoming. But in Deadwood, South Dakota, I'm going to be hanging with Chris Payne, the owner and operator of Blockhead Printing. Can't wait to see him. I'm sure we're having a great time right now.
All right.
So I just wanted to, that said, we got another one of these episodes where we're trying to make some changes to make this not happen in the future, but we're putting this episode in the can early so that we put out content weekly, as we have since episode 1 at this point. Special kind of show this week where we are going to do some different a different process. So obviously we don't have the news of the week because we're doing this last week, and so special show this week. Want to start this out talking about Star Wars. Anything, everything about Star Wars. So this is going to be full spoilers about Star Wars. So if you haven't watched all the movies, if we talk about books or comics that maybe you don't want to know about, then, maybe this isn't the episode for you. Watch around us. We will have the different times that at the beginning of this episode for when we have the second half of the episode where we talk about Final Fantasy 15. And then we're also going to do Comic Book Club at the end of this for Murder Ballads, written by Gabe Soria, who was on last week's show as well. So look around here for the times for that stuff if you want to skip the Star Wars talk at this point. Think if you've seen the base movies, you're probably good here. But just wanted to chat with you guys. I know all three of us are hardcore Star Wars fans, excited for this coming December. I don't know. Dude. What do you guys got? I could start it.
I can't sleep.
You guys want to start it? What do you think?
Well, it's only 120 days till episode 8.
Right. And still only one trailer. Just a teaser. Is that gonna be the only trailer we're gonna get?
I have a feeling that. No, I was gonna say I was wondering if with one of the last conventions coming up, I wonder if they're gonna release another trailer, because the only other thing that wouldn't make sense, that might make sense, is be when Battlefront 2 is released in November.
Okay.
That could be when we have to wait. I mean, think of a better time, but we don't know if Disney and EA are going to get together. They have to, because obviously they have the rights to the Star Wars franchise for video games, but I don't know. But it's coming up on Christmas, so
yeah,
they might do one like Super Bowl, Thanksgiving Sunday during the Lions game.
Super Bowl, that makes sense.
Not Super Bowl. I'm sorry. Oh. I was thinking Thanksgiving. Right. I was thinking Turkey Bowl Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right. Which will be the Dallas game, not the Lions game. That's all the game that's in prime time.
Okay.
You throw the Lions on when everybody's eating Thanksgiving dinner.
Dinner at noon.
Yeah.
Go Lions.
Yeah. Go Lions. This is our year.
Wow. I don't know where to start with Star Wars.
So, then I'll just say...
I wasn't prepared for this at all.
Do we need to be prepared for a Star Wars discussion? We talked about the wills and stuff going forward. I guess I just want to bring it, back to it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious how much they've changed episode 9 script without Carrie Fisher. It seems like, is this story just the story of the Skywalkers, 1 through 9? And if so, how do they do that? It'll be you assume they got to kill her off, right?
You'd think.
Yeah, they would have to kill her off.
right? So either that happened before, anyways, and they're just being coy about it, or they've got to change it, and they've already said they won't do CGI. So it would be interesting to see how they, I don't know, how they pull that off, right?
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
the use of CGI.
Yeah, without... Did they say they're not going to have her in it? Well,
She's
episode
in it.
9.
I wonder if they filmed. I wonder if they filmed like multiple storylines that can still meet up.
Right.
So they could have killed her off already,
Right.
but maybe they had to tweak one of the other cutscenes they had in case something happens. Because you got to think they have to always plan for these things. Because look what like Jason Lee and the Crow.
Sure.
I mean, they did a pretty good job with CGI.
Right.
I think though, if you go back and look at it now, it probably doesn't look as good as it did back in
Sure.
the 24 frames per second and
Right.
and whatnot. But I don't think I think they had to plan for that contingency. To some extent, you know, what happens if we lose Mark Hamill during filming? What happens if we lose so and so?
Right.
You know, so
So I guess I'll steer the conversation a little bit as well. Let's talk about our favorite Star Wars stuff.
Well,
So-
as far,
What?
before we go there, as far as CGI goes, I was watching Rogue One, and what's his name, Tarkin?
Yeah.
Cushing, Peter Cushing. It's bad.
Yeah, it's
It's
really
bad.
obvious that it's
Yeah.
CGI.
Because his eyebrows look like caterpillars climbing up his face.
Yeah,
It's-
I said it when we first watched that movie, is that I wish they would have kept it to the back shot of his head with kind of the fuzzy reflection in the glass. They could have left it at that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They could have left it.
they showed him way too much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for sure.
clear,
And the guy
so.
who played him was a giant, so he was
Yeah.
way too big compared to what he used to look like.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
and I think back.
go
Now
ahead.
you got to talk about this. I think back to my initial reaction after I watched Rogue One because I watched it like opening night.
To be honest, I didn't know that he was dead when I saw it the first time, and I didn't realize that it was CGI. But then afterwards, now that I know that and I look at it, it's really obvious that it is CGI.
It is. And when I first watched it, and I was taking it in, I was just trying to take it all in, learn the story, and I was more of trying to fast forward my mind to the parts that I wanted to see them touch base on. And so I didn't notice it. So I know that when we talked, right after it came out, we talked, and Casey destroyed my whole view on how bad the CGI was. He also didn't like my rendition of Assassin's Creed, but that's fine. Ever since then, I've been crushed, and I can never watch it ever again because all I see is a stupid eagle flying through.
That's funny. That's
But
funny.
my favorite Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, so let's do this. Let's talk books.
Okay.
Okay. So what's your favorite Star Wars book? And I'll say that for me, to be honest, I haven't read much of the new stuff. To me it was the Heir to the Empire stuff that came
Yep.
out in the 90s.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that was great. And then I guess I'll flip it around. My favorite Star Wars book was Tales from the Cantina, which was a book that came out in the 90s. It was a bunch of short stories, basically, just about different guys who were hanging out in the cantina. And I felt like it was a really good way to kind of expand the universe and take on the tone with a bunch of characters that were nobodies in the film, you know?
Yeah, I think I have the Tales from Mos Eisley that has.
Sure, that
Boba
was a
Fett.
sequel.
I have it on paperback. It's just around the corner out there. I did read Heir to the Empire because it came out when I was in high school,
Right.
and at that time you were just starved for anything
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really good story. I read it and I accepted how they had developed the characters and got into with Luke and Mara Jade. I think I liked. It was Mara was the hand of the Emperor,
Sure.
and I liked her story. She had a
Right.
really good story.
Yeah.
because it was from her perspective. You know, she was in Jabba's palace watching from the shadows, and just how her life changed, and she blamed Skywalker because he destroyed her world.
Right. I
But-
thought Thrawn was also super cool, just the fact that you don't really see the Empire's tactical skills. You know what I mean? All you see is Vader and the Emperor and how they're playing with the Force, essentially, and just trying to get Luke to make Force babies for him. But yeah, so Thrawn was a good kind of addition to that, to show their kind of tactical side or whatnot as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Corey, you read a Star Wars book ever?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I did when I was like middle school or something. It might have been something that Dad had,
Right.
but I don't remember it.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. Have you read?
I
assume
mean,
you
the
have.
prequels were like my generation of young Star Wars, and I didn't read any prequel books.
Sure.
I don't. So
Sure.
they sucked.
Jeff, have you read Aftermath or any of the new ones?
I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't yet either.
I think when I started releasing those is when I started going back to school, and
Sure.
my enjoyment reading went this way.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I'm just the slowest reader on earth. I pick about a book a year to get through, so I haven't had a chance yet. All right, so let's talk about video games.
Man, that's a good topic.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people everyone always talks about what is as TIE Fighter versus X-Wing
Right.
being the top sim one, but I think actually my favorite Star Wars video game is probably the Republic Commando.
Oh, I never played that one. That was on Xbox, the original, right?
No, I had it on PC,
Okay.
and the whole dialogue that they wrote for the clone troopers, it was funny, and it was really fun. It was just a real quick. I mean, I did Jedi Academy. I mean, there's so many, you can't play them all, but I did get into the Old Republic when that launched. I was in the beta for that, and then played that for a year. Of course, I played a Jedi Knight, but
What about
it was just. I played both 1 and 2.
Right.
And then you got to look at the Super Nintendo with Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Those games now, you go back and play those. So Super Star Wars is out on PS4 and kind of relaunched for everything at this point. Weird that they haven't relaunched the rest of them, because that game, when Super Star Wars came out, not a great game, but at the time there was nothing else out, and so it was fun to play through. What was really cool was Super Star Wars was just jumping and shooting. That's all it was. Super Empire Strikes Back, you get halfway into that game, and then you meet Yoda, and then all of a sudden it unlocked all these force powers. And so that was just totally changed the game. So it was really a lot of fun back then, for sure.
And then I still have a GameCube, and I have the Rogue Squadron games. Those are pretty fun.
Those are still the best
space
fighting games. I like those better than X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, to be
I
honest.
do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And then they tried to relaunch it with the Battlefronts, the original Battlefront series, and theirs were just terrible.
Yeah. Yes, they were.
Terrible.
Corey?
Terrible.
Seem like people like Battlefront too. I definitely KOTOR for sure.
Right.
Hands down the best. I mean, not only was it Star Wars, but it was also like BioWare's kind of first game, which was awesome at the time, and just being able to choose between. Not only was it Star Wars, but you could choose light or dark side and make decisions that affected the story. So it's the first game like that, and also Star Wars, you're choosing, Jedi or Sith. So it made it even cooler. Build your own lightsaber, and the Old Republic storyline is sweet. Definitely, KOTOR is my favorite.
Sure.
I would say.
I'll agree with you. KOTOR, hands down, is definitely one of the greatest games of all time, and definitely the best Star Wars game. A couple of games that I'll just give some shout-outs to as well is N64 Shadow of the Empire.
Yep, that was a good one.
Was the first really good Hoth battle. The first time that you could fly a snow speeder, launch the cable, and circle around an AT-AT, and it felt good.
Mhm.
The other game that I'll give a shout out to that everybody kind of universally hates, and I'll agree that if I went back to play it today, I'm sure it's terrible. But we sunk a ton of time into it. Right around the time when I went from when I left my parents' house till I bought the PlayStation 1, I probably had 3-4 years there where I wasn't gaming at all. When I got that PlayStation 1 and got into it, Star Wars Master of Terras Kazi, which was the 2D fighting game featuring Star Wars characters. And like I say, terrible game, but we just put a ton of time into that. Those were the days when I was in my 20s and had a bunch of people over every night, and we passed the controller around in the living room. And of course, I was the one who owned it, so I knew all Darth Vader's moves. Nobody else did, so I could crush in it as well. Totally.
You know, another game that came to mind, actually almost led to my divorce. To a divorce was Star Wars Galaxies.
Okay.
And they launched their MMO back.
Right.
It was around time WoW started. It was a little before WoW. And I don't know. Did you ever play it?
No, I wanted to. I didn't have a computer that could run it back in those days.
Man. I would sit there and I'd come home every day from work. I would sit down in front of the computer, and that's where I'd sit until it was time to go to bed. I'd eat my meals at the computer. You couldn't pause it because it was MMO. Right. It put you into the world. It put you around the time of A New Hope, and it was just we could spend hours. There's actually this group of people that actually reinvented and rewrote the source code for the original game because they changed it. Sony Online changed it a couple years into it because everyone wanted to be a Jedi. And so they changed it, and they changed the combat, the crap. They changed the game so much that it's a totally different game, and it lost all its fan base, and it crashed. But this group of people actually went and rewrote the source code using the original discs, using everything off the original discs, and they have servers up to this day that if you still have the original discs with the product key, you can log in and play the original content online.
Nice, that's awesome.
And oh man, it was fun because it was more of the Star Wars universe and not just centered on Luke and Leia.
Right.
And you could run around to like the key points. You could see Vader, you could see the Emperor, you could see Luke, and you could become part of the Rebel Alliance. You could become Imperial, get Stormtrooper armor.
Nice.
And oh man.
Nice. All right, so let's move along to tabletop.
Oh, start with X-Wing.
X-Wing?
Yep, yeah, I like X-Wing. I probably dropped like $500 on the X-Wing.
That's awesome. I got the core set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it.
And like the game for sure. I just it pains me to go into those stores and see just do the math in my head. Definitely coolest miniatures they've ever put out. The detail on those is awesome.
Well, and they're headquartered right here in Roseville.
Yeah.
Fantasy Flight Games. Yep. I saw them at Comic-Con, nice. And I found out they're local, and I drove up there, and then I got somebody else at work, and we started playing at work.
That's awesome.
I have a tackle box full of just X-Wing.
Nice.
I have the Corellian Corvette just sitting up here off camera. It's like this big. Yeah.
Go grab it.
Okay.
Corey, well, he's grabbing that. You play any?
No.
Never?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the next time you come over, we for sure have to play Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
Oh, check that out. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What's that run you? $100?
This was 150, I think, 140.
Yeah. Wow.
Damn.
It's
Look
awesome.
at the detail, though.
I know. I know the detail on the little ones, yeah.
It's got awesome. 2 stands to hold it up. And
what in that game can hold a candle against that thing?
They had to
Star
get big ships. Well, no, they'll do like TIE fighter attacks. They don't have it. You know how big the Star Destroyer would have to be?
Right.
It'd be like this massive thing. No, they released like other Imperial ships like Devastator and stuff, and Slave 1's big enough, but usually you're trying to protect it, and it has super weapons, but super slow.
Sure.
Like the movement measuring sticks, you have the forward and aft portion of it, and it has like 2 separate batteries for the forward end of the ship, aft end of the ship. I have the Rebel transport too.
Nice.
And Millennium Falcon sits right here. I love the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And it's got the old radar dish.
Yeah, of course.
And,
Awesome.
and Slave 1 and the Imperial Lambda class shuttle.
Nice. You ever play Imperial Assault?
No, I haven't.
So
I have the card game one too.
Oh, okay. I'd like to try that sometime. I haven't played that, but Imperial Assault, hands down, my favorite tabletop game of all time. Star Wars helps, but it's also just a really cool kind of role-playing game experience as well. Comes with a book. It's also Fantasy Flight Games. Comes with a book, and it's based on it starts like Battlefront 2. It starts with right at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And so you're on the Forest Moon of Endor, and some of the Imperial troops don't really know what's going on yet. And you're doing a mission to kind of try and shut them down and play cleanup down there. So when you finish that mission, it says at the end of it, it's if the Empire one, turn to page 7. If the Rebels one, turn to page 12. Sort of thing, and then you get a different story based on what happened then. As you're playing, your characters level up as well, get new skills, new weapons, and whatnot. Super duper awesome. It's RPG light for sure, but really, really a ton of fun. I can't talk about it enough. When you were grabbing the cruiser there, I was saying to Corey, next time he comes over, we have to play it. It's the best.
Sounds cool.
Yep, it's great. Okay, comics. Let's talk about comics.
Ooh, I like Shattered Empire.
Shattered Empire, yeah.
And,
Shattered Empire was really cool.
Shattered Empire was really good.
Yeah.
Because that was one where you see Poe's parents.
Parents, yep. It's Poe's parents, right. And spoilers, I guess let's not spoil it. Let's not spoil what happens at the end of it. Good tie-in to the movies, though. Kind of maybe how Poe gets to be such a boss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I'm trying to think about it.
I just think, I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I would say that the new books started super strong. If you watch our comic book clubs, you'll notice that we were not happy about the crossover effect that Marvel had on them, but seem to be going back to the good old days, so to speak.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, those are the 2 that I've read: Shattered Empire and the new books. The start of the new books was just really good. I mean, and it started before Carrie Fisher died, and it was, at the time it's like, wow, these are so good. You can just imagine their voices and everything. And then like after she died, it's almost sad reading them because it's like news stories about Leia, and they look just like the actors,
right?
And she's, you can still imagine their voices and stuff, and they're just those books are really good, especially from the start. The crossover did piss us off a lot, but they're so great. I mean, just the writing, the characters. You can imagine their voices in your head. The stories are awesome. It's crazy how much they do as far as being canon and what happens in them.
Agreed.
They're good for sure.
So, and then finally, let's talk about movies. Right, me and Corey have done this before. I think, to me, with the bullet, Empire Strikes Back. If you put one of my favorite movies of all time, that's number 1 on it.
Yeah, I'd go with Empires.
Weird that I'm saying that for a movie that had a cliffhanger ending. But the cliffhanger was the best cliffhanger of all time.
Yeah, I think that was. They may knock it out, but that was the greatest reveal in a movie.
For sure.
Far outshines Rosebud in Citizen Kane. The twist at the end of Caesar Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
Just you think about it, it's every show now tries to get to that point,
Yeah.
to get that level, and they can't now because it gets too risky of spoiling it at the end, or they don't gear it right, and so it gets hinted at throughout the whole movie, and you figure it out.
Yeah, for me, it's The Force Awakens. It's
Force Awakens, huh?
Yeah.
See, I rewatched it a couple of times, and I liked it, but then I'm just like,
I mean, like I said, we've talked about it before. The original trilogy, I was too young, so
it doesn't have the same.
when I watched it, it was when I was younger. It was like watching old movies. I mean, I obviously appreciate it now, and they're awesome. My generation was the prequels, which sucked. So The Force Awakens was in my lifetime, the first awesome new Star Wars movie that came out, and it just got me really, really back into it. It was, the old movies, the originals were obviously what started everything, and great movies, but The Force Awakens was my first great Star Wars movie.
Sure.
Because I had the prequels before that, and then it was,
I gotta say,
we all know.
Kind of opposite of Jeff. The more I watch it, the more I like it.
Really?
Yeah. When I first watched it, I still had that prequel-itis.
Yeah.
I went into the theater trying to be like super critical of it, and then I walked out saying, "Oh, that's pretty good." And the more I watch it, I kind of like it. I think it does have its faults, but my arguments against it are different than most people's. I think it's Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher honestly not acting very well. That's my biggest complaints when I go back and watch it. Like I think the rest of it's great. I love the fan service side of it. I love in Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. They're great. They're so good.
They make it. Yeah, well, I think Rogue One had a better story. Than The Force Awakens, but it's just the Force Awakens being the first awesome Star Wars movie that came out for me, and the characters I liked more than Rogue One's characters, and I love Rey and Finn and everybody, so it's.
I love Rey, and I have always when I watched it, I did like. I think I grew a tear. I actually teared up though when Han's on the Millennium Falcon for the first time,
right?
And he's telling the stories, and I was sitting there in the movie theater. I was like, dude, no.
I mean, totally different. We never saw him like that in those old movies, and for him to sit there and be like, "Yep, it's all real.
It's all true." But I think that the characters in Rogue One really grew on me after I watched it a couple times. It really grew on me, and I loved how they told that story. And, I mean, because you think about the pressure they were under to try and fill the gaps from movies that were made 40 years ago to movies that were made almost 20 years ago now. Jesus. And try and fill that gap to reverse engineer telling a story that already happened. They had a lot of pressure, but I think I went into Force Awakens trying to push down the feeling of the prequels because the first one left me numb. When I walked out of the Phantom Menace, I was numb. I didn't know how to feel because I was sort of like, it was like getting a happy ending with no reach around.
If I'm honest with you, I saw the Phantom Menace like 9 times in the first 2 weeks. Like I had a poster on the wall that I put all my stubs on and all that stuff. And it took like a year before I really came to grips with the fact of how terrible it was. And then the next 2 movies I didn't like right off the bat, sort of thing, But I was fooled for a couple weeks at least.
Oh. I lived up the hype of Phantom Menace like everybody did because I still have a VHS tape with like a film strip cutting from the film, and
sure.
And I don't know. I think what really what really hit the first nerve, besides Jar Jar, I thought that was a passing character. Was calling Anakin Skywalker Annie. I think that was what really set me off, because I'm like, no. And it took me a while to catch that Easter egg shadow of the Vader outline of him.
Sure.
It took me a while to catch that one.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly, what we're talking about, the prequels, I mean, they took the greatest character and villain of my lifetime and ruined him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, he's still ruined to this day to me because of the portrayal of his youth.
And it ruined 2 careers of 2 actors.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I look forward to The Last Jedi, though. I think The Force Awakens, I was so excited all the way, because I'm like, where the fuck is Luke? Where is Luke? And so Last Jedi, they're going to bring back Luke. They already did.
We're going to hit Luke hard.
They've got to bring back Lando.
He's not in this movie. He's not. He might be in the next one. It's weird. It is weird that Lando's not in him.
Because you would think that Lando would come back, but I guess he could now. I think about it. He can't get the Millennium Falcon because basically Han passed the torch on to Rey.
To Rey, yeah.
Rey, because Chewie loves her.
Yep.
And doesn't like Finn very much.
Right.
But that.
All right.
Go. Okay.
I was just gonna say we've gone pretty long. I think we could go forever on this, but just wanted to talk a little Star Wars, have a little Star Wars combo.
Yeah.
So the next part of the show, going on to video games. Just wanted to. You guys have both been real deep in Final Fantasy 15. Yeah. Let's not do story spoilers.
Okay.
But you guys have both been pretty vocal on Facebook and everything else about how much you're into it, and all I see is Jeff posting 1 million pictures from it.
I like that share feature that I can just I can share the picture. I don't even have to take. What I like is I don't have to worry about taking actual photos if I don't want to. It takes it for me. Yeah. I'm like this, okay, because I suck at taking photos of games. I can't sit there and get the photo contest winner.
Right.
But I've played Final Fantasy since way back in the Nintendo day, and I was sort of on the fence a little bit because I heard conflicting reviews about it. But then when Corey talking about it, and I've done Final Fantasy 14 with the Realm Reborn, I got jumped on that, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. But what I really like is what the opening screen says, Final Fantasy for fans and first timers.
Right.
And that is true.
Yeah.
Because all the little Easter eggs and all the little things that you see throughout the game, even at the beginning, are all just pulled from all over the place. Down from the music in the car, I seem to be stuck on the soundtrack from Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
But what's weird is like you're driving and then it'll change tracks and it'll be like a battle track, and I'll actually think that I'm waiting for something to pause, and I got to start doing turn-based battles.
That's awesome.
But it is really good. I like the story. The story's really good. It goes back to just a classic story against the Imperials all the time in Magitech.
Right. Sure. Is it Magic? Do they call it Magitech?
They do, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. They call it Magitech, and I think it's funny that you always have to worry about getting gas.
Yeah.
But it is really a road.
I love the car.
Yeah.
The regalia.
Did you trick it out to the Type D?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hey, did you get that far?
I'm literally 1 hour into it.
Oh.
Yeah. I have not left the first area.
It changes from what you were describing the other week. And I was like, oh, so it's just like a road trip. Okay. And so I'm playing through, and all of a sudden it's like, you get a message, and it's like, are you sure you want to do this? Because you can't come back for a while. I'm like, what's going on? What did I miss? And then once I did it, it's that true Final Fantasy kind of thing where you get so engrossed in the prologue, and then all of a sudden the actual game opens up, and you're like, oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool. That's cool. Corey,
Yeah.
So Corey, go.
what do you got to say about it?
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, I got a few gripes about it, but overall, it's it's really good. I like the combat. The stories. I think the story's good, but it's it's kind of crazy Final Fantasy story to the point where I'm at. It's as far as we're not going to go story spoilers at all, but it, it just gets pretty crazy, and I think the car is probably one of my favorite parts. Every mission I have to trick out the car, I'm instantly do it. Try and get the parts. I spend a lot of time customizing it, changing up the paint job and the decals, and even though the Type D's sweet, the monster truck, and you could take it off road.
It's been awesome.
I like switching back to the classic to just cruise around and have Ignis take the wheel and just cruise around with the boys. I really like hanging out with the crew. The characters are pretty awesome. The only thing is, as far as I'm into it now, is with side quests, they're pretty repetitive. I always go back to comparing games to The Witcher, but as far as
That's the bar.
it is the bar, and they don't hit it. It almost feels incomplete. Like when you do these hunter quests where it's to go out and defeat an enemy, where in The Witcher, when you have those quests, you go into town, you pull something off the board, you go to someone's house, and they tell you about all what this monster's been doing, how it's been wreaking havoc in the village, and then you go find a dismembered corpse, and then you track the thing down, and then it's a crazy monster, and then something that affects the village in a different way after you defeat it and everything. And then in Final Fantasy, it says go defeat this monster to complete the quest. You go there, the monster literally pops out of thin air, you kill it, and then you go back and turn it in, and it says quest complete. So it's just
side quest grind.
Yeah, and they're really, when you get to the monsters, like some of them are really cool looking monsters, and they could make such a cool story about them and why they became like that and what these monsters are doing, but they don't. They just say, here's a beast, go kill it, and then you kill it and turn it in. So, I mean, it does get kind of repetitive. As far as those goes, I don't do many of those missions now because they're all basically the same thing. But the story missions are awesome. It's my only gripe with the battle is the weight system. Is part of the battle. The way you analyze enemies is through this weight system, which if you switch to it's almost, they try and make it like kind of turn-based where it freezes time and then you can analyze the enemy. But to do that, you have to hit pause, options, combat, wait, and then exit out, and then you can analyze the enemy, and then you have to hit pause, options, combat, active or whatever, unwait, and then fight them.
Is that how you do it? I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you get to it. And it's a part of the battle system, and there's an upgrade tree for it and everything. And so it frustrates me because I don't use it because of that, but it could be a part of the battle. There's no reason it can't be triangle to switch to wait mode and just switch to it real quick and analyze and switch back. Instead, you have to go through the pause menu and switch it. It's kind of, they tried to do something cool, but made it, weird to use it. Yeah.
I think in the tutorial too, the tutorial doesn't teach you everything about that. And when they cover that, they're like, oh, you just do this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, how did I do that again?
Right. Yeah.
If they pause menu. If they tied that weight where you hit like R2 to bring up like your potions,
Yeah, if you could.
They
yeah,
never
that would
taught
make
you that, though. I had to figure
more
that out. I'm
sense.
like, you sons of bitches.
so yeah, I mean, those couple little complaints, but overall, it's awesome cruising around with the crew, and the story's sweet. I just like the whole Final Fantasy feel. It's
Right.
I haven't had a game like that in a while, and it's not too long. I'm almost done with it, and I'm 30 hours in. You could probably do every side quest and spend 100 hours, but you don't have to. So it's I'm really digging it. But
I do like the fact that I can play it when my son's awake because there's not.
Sure.
It's pretty clean.
No, I hear
for
you. That's an old man
5-year-old.
concern for sure, but it is there. Definitely. I'm
'cause I'd
just on
love
the
to-
edge of unlocking violence and goriness and cursing to my children.
The Witcher.
The Witcher, no. We're still not at the sex level.
But I think my gripe was my gripe is the tutorial because there are certain things it doesn't tell you at all, like how to open up so you can drink high potions and use items. I had to figure that out myself. I always forget about the AP points in the Ascension. I always forget about that.
yeah.
So I'll bank like a shit ton of points. I'm like, oh yeah, I better go and upgrade all these skills.
I do
Yeah.
wish there were what do you call them, summons or whatever.
Oh
of
yeah,
the,
I was hoping I would bring something like that in later,
Yeah.
like after you defeat Deadeye, one of the side quests. But that's
Yeah.
a main quest to get the chocobos.
Yeah, it's a side quest, but if you want to ride a chocobo in the game, you have to do it. So
The chocobos are kind of fun.
But yeah,
I think I rode
they're
one for
sweet.
2 miles. I leveled up my chocobo to 3, and I was like, woo.
Yeah, they have their uses when you can't get to the car, or when you got to run through tight trees and stuff. Like you would think if you have a monster truck that can go off road, why would you ever want to ride a chocobo?
Could go over rocks and bushes? Yeah, I think so.
But
Have
I
you ever
use
seen
them
how
quite
much
a bit.
damage you can take?
In the vehicle?
Yeah, don't damage it. It's expensive.
No, I get in the 90s and repair it. I never fucked it up too bad.
Don't fuck it up. Because I wanted to crash into things, see how much damage I actually show on the car. But then I'm a chicken because the first time I damaged it like 95%, it was 500 gil, and I'm like, I'm not going to damage it anymore. I'm not gonna spend any more than that. But all that ever happened was the windshield cracked.
Yeah.
And I had a white paint job at the time, and so you could see like a little bit of dirt.
I got
Like
it pretty
a Gran
dented up
Turismo.
once I flipped it.
Oh,
But-
yeah. I tried to flip it once, and it didn't work. I tried to jump on a car that was coming at me, and the car just stopped. And I'm like, wait. Because my son's like, run him over. I'm like, I'm trying. But
Right.
I like the night. I like the night and day.
Yeah, the night and day is cool.
I was like, how hard can the monsters be at night? Well, I found out how hard they're not.
Yeah, really hard.
And then they did bring in one Easter egg that happens in Final Fantasy. I want to say it's either 3 or 7. I always get them confused. But it happens early. I think it's in 7 because it happens right after you leave the chocobos and you're trying to get somewhere else. And there's almost like a mini boss fight that they brought back into it.
Nice.
I'm only at level 20 and it was level 54. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to fight you right now.
Not now. I'll be back. All right. Well, like I say, we're talking about a 6-month-old game, but we all just got into it, so we wanted to, just point it out there. On sale right now, yes? Or is it
Yeah.
sale
It
over?
ends by the time
And
this
Smile.
it's going to be, yeah.
Oh,
by
yeah,
the
but
time
this is a week.
yeah.
This is in
Yeah.
the future. Sorry, you missed the sale.
Yeah.
It's a great game, though.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the comic book club for this week. We're going to do Murder Ballads. Now, before we get into it, if you haven't read Murder Ballads and you're going to check out for this,
Buy it.
next week's comic book club is going to be for Black Magic number 6. We're going to start kind of rotating through different picks from the crew here. Dirk is the first one, and that's his pick. Black Magic number 6. So read up on that one before next week and join us for the comic book club then. If you're leaving, thanks for watching. As always, appreciate it.
Thanks.
definitely. And
Thanks.
yeah, if you're sticking around, let's do it. Full spoilers in 3, 2.
I gotta piss.
So, Murder Ballads.
Man.
If you watched last week, we had Gabe on, talked it through. If you didn't watch, this is...
Watch it.
Yeah, go watch it, right? This is a project that involves a soundtrack. So a graphic novel, soundtracks included. And, at first when I heard that was like somewhat like, oh, this is weird. And then as soon as you read it, it's totally apparent why, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Yeah, the music, and it's written by what's his name?
Gabe Soria.
No, the music.
Yeah,
Oh.
right, Dan Arbach.
Dan Arbach.
Dan Arbach.
Yep.
Yeah, really good music.
Yeah, excellent stuff. I love the art in both sides of it, so side A and on side B. Really kind of has that, what we've been talking forever about Jessica Jones, but that same kind of gritty art style, which of course, gritty is what you're going for when you're doing a story about finding musicians in dive bars and trying to, aspire to make them something greater,
Yeah.
The
art fit the story.
And
Perfect.
side B was more grittier than side A.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. I just thought a couple things that I'll say before we kind of go into the story of it is like that it really caught the tone of what it was going for. So there's a lot of cues of first of all what it's like to be a musician who's going around playing gigs on a daily basis for money, about what it's like to live in the South, and I think the kind of if I'm honest, racism that takes place down there, and how people kind of approach each other on a daily basis. They're not afraid to be. There's racism in both directions. There. Also just the music industry, right? So the main character in the story, at a failed record label and is trying to make it go again, and then finally just like his relationship with his wife and trying to mend that while on this journey to like save the record label or whatnot.
But he can't.
Of course, right. And there's nothing like that, right? I mean,
No.
there's not a story like that in comics today.
No.
No.
Not that I've read.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
just walking through it a little bit, like we do around these, essentially him and the wife going through tough times in the hanging out at the dive hotel, and then basically she gives him the cold shoulder and passes out, and that's when he walks out to a bar and happens to run into some killer musicians, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, it starts with her in the end, but right. It starts with her listening to the record.
Yeah, it starts with her in a record store, but you don't really know that until the end.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. And and then just so they find this legendary producer who then holds the music hostage on them.
Yeah, typical.
Says he wants 10 grand and lets them listen to it first, how great it is, sort of thing. And then they have to.
And he's awesome.
Right. And then they have to go out and commit crimes in order to make the money, which goes about as well as you would expect it to. The final, and then I guess we'll just get to the crux of it is that you get a spoiler halfway through of him trying to murder one of the musicians in the car, and you hear the gunshot or whatnot, and then the crux of at the end of the story is that it's her shooting him instead, because he's obviously gone insane over just trying to make a record.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, he had to hit rock bottom, and he just never learned from his mistakes. But the feel from listening to music and reading the book, because I tried to do it as a movie. So listening to music as I read it, trying to match the songs in the book as you read it. It was a whole different feel than to just sit there and read it. And I am going to have it on a hard copy, because having
Sure.
it digitally is one thing, but I want to have it hard copied as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I did like the gritty art style. It actually kind of looked like, some of it looked like a callback to Dick Tracy in a way.
Sure.
I noticed those old detective comic books. And then I thought there was almost like a little call out to Bill Cosby and the Cosby Kids.
Oh yeah. No,
'Cause-
the you're talking about
The flashback.
Fat Albert.
Yeah, Fat Albert.
Right.
Because the whole, just the way they're standing, I saw that and I thought, huh,
Yeah.
I kind of like that. But
Corey didn't grow up with those on Saturday afternoon, so he doesn't know
No,
what
he
I'm talking
didn't.
about.
but and no, that was an awesome comic book, and I'm glad that Gabe was able to spend time with us last week. And
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, to me, just the uniqueness of the whole thing blows me
Yeah.
away. And you know, I know Corey hasn't had a ton of time, but I know to some degree both of you have been down there. Like the South is a different animal, right?
it is.
And you know, Gabe's from there, and I feel like he captured it. You know.
Yeah, I almost considered asking him, because in that whole thing, and especially at the end, talking about the record, the guy's like, oh, I heard that, some people went crazy and were shooting people over it, but half that's bullshit just to promote a record.
Right.
And I'm almost like, I almost want to ask Gabe, I'm like, was something like this happen in your life to cause you to write this? But I don't know him that well, so.
Right. Corey, anything else? Take us out. Take us home.
That was a great book. Like you said, there's nothing else like it. The story was really good. Artwork was awesome. It's just, I liked everything about it. So,
Cool. Cool beans. Okay, so we said it earlier. Everybody go read Black Magic #6 for next week.
Yes.
We'll check you back then. All right, thanks for watching. This has been Comically Gaming, episode 66. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah,
Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Jeff.
Peace.
Yep. Later.
Later.